I'm a 26F who's been dating an incredible 29 meters for almost a year now. I love him to death, feel so lucky I found him online. With that being said, I've noticed we only ever have sex. Lots of giggling, funny noises, jokes, and playfulness. No matter how hard I try to more passionate and serious, he always turns it back into a joking situation. While I enjoy the silliness, I also want something a little more serious sometimes. I brought it up to him and he brushed it off by saying he was a more goofy and awkward, which is true. He told me he would feel weird being more serious and that it seemed to him. I'm at a loss what to do. I know for a fact he gets self-conscious and nervous about sex. Opened up to me when we first started dating and told me he's only been in one short besides me. He has very little experience in the bedroom, and I think making jokes and makes him feel less uncomfortable. He was cheated on in his previous relationship and sex was an issue between them. I want to bring up the subject again but don't want to his feelings or make him even more self-conscious. How can I talk to him again and him understand our relationship won't last if he isn't willing to be a little more serious in? Sometimes, TLDR, my boyfriend is always very goofy during sex. I've tried talking to him about being serious, passionate and he brushed it off. How can I approach the subject again without his feelings? Geez, that would be a deal breaker for me. Listen, I am awkward as the next person but I learn. For example, I would frequently try new and weird things in bed. Like, make growling noises like an animal. I thought I was being sexy. And my ex was like, please don't do that. And I never did it again. I have a few more examples but frankly I'm too embarrassed to give them. My point is sex is awkward. But we learn what our partners like and keep repeating what they like without repeating what they don't. Yes, your BF is silly and nervous but is refusing to learn and prioritizing his comfort over yours. He may just be too immature to be a good sexual partner. I would really have a come to Jesus moment with him. And if he can't keep the clown nose out of the bedroom, I think you should stop sex mid-sex. Why should he get rewarded for being a clown in bed after you repeatedly asked him not to? So uncomfortable. Why would you want to feel like you're banging some guy who just hit puberty and thinks every noise is funny? You deserve sexy sex. This is just who I am, is a load of bullshit. Learning, growing, being open-minded to feedback are all very important. Well done. You could try looking into tantric practices. Many of them don't even involve penetration necessarily, like a lot of them are just holding each other in very intimate body positions, focusing on your breathing, etc. They are more spiritual and intimate and thus serious. If you try it, both of you might find yourself giggling or making jokes because it is new and different, and that's totally okay. Let the giggles come out while you continue to hold each other and breathe, and I suspect eventually you'll both calm down and can move on toward the actual act in a more serious way. A little bit of wine or whiskey, a completely dark room and some loud music for now. And then what others said about talking to him at a neutral time using I statements. I dealt with this so much in my last relationship. Is the problem that the silliness turns you off? I don't have much advice here but just a snippet of personal experience. My so had a lot of anxiety about sex and a hard time staying hard because he would be too nervous and thought that sex was a serious thing and that I would be upset with him if he was having trouble. But what helped him was making sex more of a casual, silly thing. It took off the pressure of the moment and reassured him that this was just a fun experience, not a big serious thing. Your partner might have similar anxieties, and treating sex lightly or being silly during it might help him through it. You might want to talk to him about it, and if the silliness makes it hard for you to stay turned on, maybe let him know that too. It doesn't turn me off all the time, but recently it's been frustrating me more and more. I love having fun and joking around, but it would be nice to have more passion every once in a while. I definitely think he has similar anxieties. Letting him know the silliness doesn't turn me on as much is a good approach to take though. If sex gets weird, awkward, or uncomfortable, stop having sex. Right then. No. We discussed that I am not comfortable with this becoming a joke. Don't turn down advances of the type and quality you like, but stop sex the minute it becomes a less positive experience for you. Repeat is necessary. Frankly, I would turn down serious sex with her if I were in his shoes. Like it's okay for her to want to be comfortable during sex, but not at the expense of her partner's comfort. WTF, funny noises during sex? He is a grown-ass man. Clown nose horn and deflating balloons, of course. The same way we all have sex, right? Right? Congrats for being the first woman to post in this sub with a boyfriend who actually seems to like you. I 100% agree with other replies telling you not to corner him with the conversation. If he's squeamish about serious sex, he might be equally squeamish about a serious conversation about sex. Bring it up gently, but make sure to stress that these intimate moments are important for you to be happy in the relationship. You deserve someone who values your happiness, and he'll be receptive to this if he does. I imagine it might take him a while to make this adjustment, so be patient. A year really isn't as long as it might seem. Welcome to emotional unavailability. It won't change unless he actually wants to make an effort to be more vulnerable during sex, and in my experience, none of my silly sex partners ever did, including my husband. I was so frustrated by constantly running into a closed door, emotionally speaking, but as it turned out, he had no interest in ever letting me in. Such is life. Before you proceed, I think you need to determine whether your BF doesn't want to let you in, or he does, but is afraid to or doesn't know how to open up to people. Either way, your feelings are valid and you should both be able to have the sort of sexual relationship you prefer. So he's only ever been in one relationship and it was short and he was cheated on and he has issues with sex. From what it sounds like, you're a patient, good person that cares about him and you're willing to try to deal with this. The thing of it is, he has to try to deal with it as well, and he has to. I think it's totally normal to be self-conscious and nervous about sex. If it were me, I'd want to talk outside of the bedroom about ways in which intimacy could be achieved. Because true intimacy isn't a joke. You're bonding with someone, and I feel like he didn't get that bond with his ex and he's joking to protect himself from being hurt, but his doing this to make him comfortable is making you extremely uncomfortable and the entire situation uncomfortable. He can't just brush you off. You're part of the relationship. He has to find a way to deal with his feelings, whether it's therapy or you two talking it out and going slow. You're not doing anything wrong and your feelings are valid. I would feel very uncomfortable if I were with someone intimately and they treated it as a joke. I would be hurt, frankly. Sexual incompatibility is a reasonable reason for exiting a relationship. You could do your best to try to discuss this without hurting his feelings, but ultimately if he is unwilling to communicate about it, then you might need to hurt his feelings a little in the process of trying to resolve this issue, since the only other solution might be a breakup. He sounds like a child if he's almost 30 and saying being serious during sex is cringe. My GF would break up with me for doing shit like that. The issue now is that you made a request and B brushed it off. Greater than, and he brushed it off by saying. Also, he may not know how to do what you're asking. You may need to be very detailed and lead him through it. Positive affirmation works best. If he does one tiniest thing in the right direction, start from there. Praise the man of how good that felt and so on. That will stick, and in future you can associate other things to that one thing. This is not the answer for everyone. I don't know his boundaries or your comfort level. My response would be leading him to the bedroom, couch, shushing him if he says something and responding, "This is for me, I'm using you right now for what I want. Watch and enjoy, you can have yours next." Straddling him and using him or directing him to what he's doing to me, winking face, just be serious yourself. Give him a wink when you shush him. Maybe ask him beforehand about this type of experience if this is a boundary concern. Being serious yourself and shushing him playfully, telling him this is my time, will create a serious atmosphere where if he makes a silly noise or does something similar, he will be cringe in that moment. TLDR. Create the atmosphere you want. Home that helps. Personally, I would find it weird to be serious during sex too. It would feel like playing a character, not being myself. He's allowed to want goofy sex, and you're allowed to want serious, passionate sex. If he's not open to talk about how you can reach a compromise so both of you get what you want, at least some of the time, then he's not a good partner. Relay to him that this is not a complaint about his performance or inexperience, but what you want, need. If he isn't at least willing to try, then he does not deserve you. His insecurity about his inexperience may be at the root of the issue, but you don't know, and you're not a mental health professional. Perhaps you can suggest going to couples therapy. Blindfold him and tie his ass up, the giggles will stop.